A while ago, we built this budget drift kart out of a kid's quad bike that we found on Facebook Marketplace for $100. This is how this thing currently sits, and it's been so much fun. In fact, I just took it for a rip before to make sure that this thing is all running well, and it actually goes really good. When you get up to like 50 kilometers an hour on this thing, it's a little bit dodgy. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, we built it pretty quickly, and some things could be made better. But recently, our friends at Max Speeding Worlds reached out to us and said, hey Mike, we have the world's smallest turbo. Is there anything you can do with this? And then I thought of this thing and I was like, hell yes. Then this box arrived with this. Look at that. It's insanely small. To give you some perspective, here is a G35 turbo that we have in the shop. This is actually quite a big turbo, I'm not gonna lie, but that is... It's hilarious. But guess what? It's perfect for our budget drift kart. I'm sure there are a bunch of people online right now watching this video saying, you can't turbo two-strokes. You're all naysayers. We're gonna give it a go anyway. I have no idea how this is gonna turn out, but I'm freaking pumped for it. So there are a couple of things that we need to overcome straight away with the setup that we're about to do. And that is, this motor here doesn't have oil. It uses premixed fuel. So we don't have an oil send or return situation that we can do for this turbo. Luckily, it's a tiny turbo, it's a tiny motor, it's not gonna produce crazy amounts of heat. So what we are gonna do is we're gonna cap the turbo off. So what I'm gonna do is make a little plate that goes on the oil return right here to cover it. Then we're gonna fill the turbo with oil, and then we're gonna put a bolt in the top here so that there's just oil always in the turbo, but it's not like flushing through, cooling anything down. I have no idea whether it's actually gonna produce boost or not, but there's only one way to find out. So for turbo positioning, I'm thinking we have it like somewhere like here, because we could have it under and behind and stuff like that, but like, where's the fun in that? We want this thing to look awesome and sound awesome, right? So somewhere around like here would be super cool. Another kind of challenge that we have is that with this setup, because it's carbureted, so that's the carburetor right there, we have to put the carburetor in front of the turbo, then the air and fuel go through the turbo, get compressed, and then go through the motor. So that's going to be another interesting scenario that we're going to have to overcome. I'm freaking excited, if I'm honest. So first things first, we're kind of going to figure out where we're going to mount the turbo, how we're going to mount it, and then make our pipe that goes from our exhaust, which is under here, to our turbo. Let's go. First up, we're making blanking plates for our turbo and filling it up with oil. Since this is just a bit of a fun build, we're not too worried about the turbo, and having it filled with oil will pretty much take care of it for the remainder of its life. Then I made a turbo flange out of 3mm thick steel, and we were good to go. So we've made our little flange for our turbo. Look at that, she's cute as hell. Nice, and then what I actually did as well, which is hilarious because we're utilizing things that we have around the workshop. By the way, Jordan's here. Hello. His channel is currently on private for all you people who have been asking about his stuff, but he'll be back. What do you think of the turbo drift kart?
Oh, it's gonna be so cool.
It is actually gonna be sick. Do you think it'll work?
I reckon it will.
I think we're optimists here. But what I did was, this is so dumb. We like to use BMW parts for everything that we do, but I had this oil pump laying around, and it had this that like goes off the oil pump. That's like the pickup for the sump, and it turns out it's the exact same like bolt pattern for the flange that our exhaust is. Look at this exhaust that was on the on the drift kart. It's been absolutely hammered, but same bolt pattern. So what I did was took this off, and then we've made a few, I don't want to say pie cuts because they're borderline not at all pie cuts, but this is going to be our turbo manifold. So made a little slits, bent it up to where we need it to go, then it's going to bolt up under here, and then our turbo is going to sit, look at this, boom, right there, just like I bought one. So we're gonna do a quick test fit now, and if it all works, we're gonna take the flange to the pipe.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Immediately, good things happening. Look at that, a 1-inch intake.
Dude,
it's not.
Can't even get my fingers in there.
Yeah, you can't even feed the pony. I wonder if it's gonna make spoolie noises. Oof. Look at that. She's mounted. Looks sick. Absolutely love the positioning. Who knows if it's actually going to work, but looks cool. So I have date night with Tara. I'm about to leave, but I think it would be rude not to like start this thing just as it is to see if the turbo spins. I'm pumped.
Yeah.
Alright, so that's the first box ticked. That's got enough to spin the wheel. Yes! I actually love this. It looks so cool. So I'll be back in the morning with the coffee in hand, of course, with you guys, and we're going to continue on with the build. See you then. Also, bye, Jordan.
Peace out.
Bye. Arigato. Hey. Day 2 of the turbo drift kart, baby. I'm so excited for this. So we're already straight into the mission. Woz is over here at the pipe bender, but the next thing we've got to figure out is how we're going to get a pipe from here back to here. I had a little bit of a discussion with Woz, and we have actually decided at the moment that we're going to go through the carb into the motor. That's because we don't actually know really if this is going to make much boost at all. We did run it up before. We had a kind of a feel under here to see if it was making any boost. There was a slight puff of air. Obviously we haven't run it up properly, so we can't know for sure. First things first, we're going to try and run it this way, just for ease of use basically, because then we don't have to move the carb. Hey, it's me, Mike, and I've completely changed my mind since the last time that I filmed with you, because we're now putting the carb in front of the turbo. So I'm going to make a wee flange, and it's going to, the carb literally just like has a slide on thing here, and it bolts up onto a 19mm piece of pipe that we have back there. But basically the carb's going to sit on the front like this, and then there's a wee pod filter that goes on the front of the carb. So it should look pretty cool. The looks are very important, okay? That's just how it goes, right? The fuel has to go through the turbo and then get to the back of the motor here, and that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried that we won't be able to get it started because it's quite a long way for the fuel to travel. But yeah, worst case scenario, if that doesn't work, we can put the carb back on the back of the motor. Let's make some flanges. Yeah. So here is our little adapter thing that we just made. Pretty rad. I really enjoy making stuff like this. It's good fun. This wee guy's just gonna bolt on the front here, and then the carburetor is gonna go onto it. So this how she looks mounted, and then you put your little pod filter on the front of the carb, like so. It's not too bad, I don't mind it too much. I really do like the turbos with like nothing in front of them, obviously, so you can see the wheels spinning and maybe a wee dose pipe, but I think this is the way that we're going to have to run it if we want it to actually work properly and maybe produce some kind of boost for the motor. So skip forward to the following day, and I've been just staring at this thing, trying to figure out what the next steps are. So I've got the outlet of the turbo down here, and then we're gonna use rubber hose basically as like silicone joiners, and then we've got another one on this side, and then just a bit of pipe joining the two, right? So we're going to bend up some pipe and we're going to put this all together, and I think in the next little bit we should be able to start it, or try and start it if it will start. Nice. I think that's definitely going to be sweet. So here is our turbo piping setup. So this is the turbo side and this is the engine side, a couple of hose clamps each side, and hopefully that'll do the job for us. Suss this out, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. That looks wicked. I wasn't expecting it to look so cool, but the stainless pipe definitely helps with the vibes. But now we're actually going to try and start the thing. I'm like 5% confident that this thing will start, and 95% confident that it's not going to be able to get the fuel from the front to the back. Here we go. It works, I guess. All right, so it runs, which is awesome. Version 1 of our turbo setup runs. Who knows if it makes boost? We're not quite there yet. But I've sat for the last couple of hours kind of pondering this, and I want to give it a go the other way around. So I have moved the carb to the back of the motor now. So literally all I did was just take it off the front, unbolt it, and put it back onto the back of the motor. At some point along this journey, maybe not in this video, we will throw a boost gauge on it and see if it's actually making boost. But I want to run it the other way around. I've made this atrocious looking adapter thing here. This guy will go onto the back of the carb just like so, and then this pipe will go onto that, and basically that'll seal that up so that we can push the boost through the carb. Let's give it a go the other way around, start it up and see how it goes. Boom, look at that. She's all locked in. Let's see if it runs. So we have some good news and some bad news. Good news is it works like that, and it's seeing boost 150%. I like held one of the rubber hoses while I was revving it, and you could feel it like starting to expand because it's getting boost. But I made a mistake and I broke the carburetor a little bit. So I snapped this wee guy off here, and this is what kind of tightens it to the actual motor itself, which means we're going to move on to our twin dump pipes off the back of the turbo, which I'm pretty excited about because hopefully it's going to look awesome. It's so weird. I literally get more of a kick sometimes working on crappy little things like this than I do working on like crazy cars. So good. So skip forward literally a week later and we're back working on the turbo drift kart, and the reason it is a week later is because I broke the carburetor completely from the last setup. So as you can see, both sides are now broken off, and so that carburetor is dead. Luckily, the best thing about these things is you go buy another carburetor, it is literally $17. So I went out and grabbed two of them, literally two of the exact same ones, but I went back to the old style carburetor that was on our other motor, and that's just because it has a tap to turn the fuel on and off, which I prefer. So we'll grab two of these just in case I break one, which is awesome. Here is the one we're about to install, get it running, and then we can bolt the front onto it so that we can then get the boost running through the carb. Fingers crossed it actually runs and drives. But it's a beautiful day outside, beautiful day to test the drift kart, so let's go ahead and slap the carby on the kart. So hopefully we're back up and running. Our new carb is on. I actually like the setup way more. So I think we are ready to pull the cord once again. Okay, so the crazy thing is I can actually feel compressor surge coming out the front of the turbo. Honestly though, I can't believe it's actually kind of working. All right, it's time to take our turbo drift kart for a jam. Look at this thing. It looks so damn cool. I'm not a single bit mad about the way that this looks. It's so good. So that was awesome. It runs, it drives, it's making boost, but it just feels like it's got a little bit more left in the tank. And I did a little bit of Googling and I figured out that the two strokes are supposed to have some kind of expansion chamber in the exhaust before the turbo. And so I pulled the whole setup apart, turbo's off, and I've made this janky little expansion tank here just out of a bigger piece of pipe, and then I just made it smaller on each end, and we're gonna make it work. So we're gonna go ahead, even though I'm supposed to be home right now cooking Tara some homemade pizza, I'm here, I can't help myself, I've got ADD brain, I want to get this thing cranking. So let's weld up the expansion chamber, throw it back on the cart and take it for a quick drive before I go home and get told off by Tara. Even though she won't tell me off because she's awesome, but still, let's get it done. One janky ass expansion chamber is complete. Oh man, it'll be so funny if that actually works. Yes. All right, so we're ready to go. Let's see if this thing runs now. Switch on, let's go. Alright, so it's probably really hard to capture on film there how freaking awesome that was, because I'm the only one here, so I couldn't get anyone to film for me, but that actually worked. And I could feel it, like definitely has boost. Still needs a couple of tweaks, but like that works. We do need to get it up in the rev range a little bit higher. So basically what I just did was, we put the expansion chamber on, but on the 98 fuel, it was running too rich once the expansion chamber was on, which is kind of good with the turbo, but it literally wouldn't rev. It was that pig rich. So I had a quick idea. My friend Shane dropped off some supercar fuel to me because he works on a supercar team. It was leftover fuel, dropped it off to me. That's E75. And I thought, why not throw that in the tank? That'll make it a little leaner, but smell really good. Sure enough, dropped that in the tank and it came good and started revving, which is freaking awesome, and makes boost, does the good stuff, which is just so cool. So I'm over the moon that even worked, because this is like phase 1 of this. We can make it so much better from here. Now what I need is your help. If you know anything about two-strokes, turbos, stuff like that, jump into the comments below. Give me a little bit of advice. I'm open to anything, but the fact that this actually works is pretty cool, because I know there was a lot of people who said it wouldn't. I'm always a dude who just has an idea and goes for it and doesn't really listen to other people or look things up, because I like to learn as I go, and I'm pretty stoked that I did, because this thing is wicked. But that is a massive success. What I do want to do is like put a pipe on it and like an air filter. This is probably going to be a real long episode because there was a lot of effort that went into this tiny little thing, but I'm just pumped that we put a theory to the test, put the effort in, and actually made it work. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Thanks to all the new subscribers, by the way, that have hit the channel. Nearly at 50k. The goal is 50k by Christmas. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're back in the real Drive Evo this week. Friday night drifts, keep it real. That's going to be cool. We've got a bunch of work to do to it this week. Improvements that I want to make before we take it drifting again. Turbo drift kart. That is crazy. You. Peace. Until next time. Bye.